Hey everyone! If you're new to this channel, I am Amoya, otherwise known as Super Mama. And a year ago, I sold all my possessions so I could travel full time as a single mama of 3. Since then, we've road tripped across the US, we road tripped across Canada and stayed there for 2 months. We stayed in Puerto Rico for a month, and we just spent 3.5 months in Mexico. Now we are back in the States, currently in Orlando, Florida for the week to take one of my daughters to Universal Studios for her birthday, and then we are heading to Japan. And while I've been recording some of our adventures, we're very new to YouTube, I haven't explained quite how I'm able to afford traveling full time as a single mom of 3. So first I need to start off by saying we are not rich. Like, not even a little bit. We are from Austin, Texas, where it's pretty expensive, and I have to say that full-time traveling is actually cheaper than living in Austin, Texas. Okay, so the question that comes up a lot of the times that people ask me all the time is, how do you afford to travel full-time? What do you do for work? Well, as far as income goes, I was medically retired from the military years ago, so I get some income for that. And the rest of my income comes from freelance work. That's, I do a little bit of affiliate marketing with my blog. I do a little freelance writing here and there. I just have multiple small streams of income. None bring in a whole bunch of money, but the great thing about it is that the places we choose to travel to are typically really cheap if you have the American dollar as far as income goes. So take Mexico. We just spent 3.5 months in Mexico. You could probably live, our family of 4, one of them being a toddler, so let's say a family of 3 could live on, I think comfortably, a really good life in Mexico. It'd be like $1,600 a month. So you don't need much when you get outside of the U.S., depending on where you are, to live a good, comfortable life. But you do need, typically, unless you're going to be teaching abroad, you need some type of remote income, something you can make online or something passive that's going to be coming into your bank account every single month. So there are a ton of options, so many options. There's VIP Kid, which is teaching English online. There's Cambly, which I just applied to recently for some extra income, which is basically like holding a conversation in English with somebody of a different language to teach them English. But you're not teaching, you're just holding a conversation with them. It's not the highest paying job, but once again, it is a remote job, and you don't need much to live the way we do. Okay, so our second big, so now that we've covered income, what I do for income, our second big tip for being able to travel full time is we're homeless. We don't have a mortgage or rent, so the money that I would use for a mortgage, take for example my mortgage in Austin prior to this. My mortgage in Austin was almost $1,800 a month, it was over $1,800 a month with taxes and insurance. Now I was married at the time, that helped a little bit. But when I was going through my divorce and it was all up to me, that wasn't possible. And we moved into a condo and that was $1,400 a month. So now on average, for accommodations, I typically do anywhere from $500 a month to $1,200 a month, and I try and get under that $1,000 mark as far as accommodations goes. I utilize Airbnb, Booking.com, very rarely hotels. I use something called Armed Forces Lodging when I'm in the States sometimes. Those are week-long stays at resorts for about $330 for the entire week. If you haven't heard of Armed Forces Lodging and you are prior service or you are active duty in the military, these are some things you should really look into to help you save money. So on Airbnb, the great thing about it is you can negotiate a lower price with the owner, especially if you want to stay for 3 months instead of a few nights or even a month. I like to write the owner and ask for a discount. Say, hey, can you work with me? This is my budget. Let's get this under $800 a month. That would make me really happy. And if you get outside of Airbnb, maybe book a hotel or book an Airbnb for a week when you get to your new place, and then while there, walk around and look at the for rent signs depending on the country, look in the newspaper, look online, try and get something that's not on any of those sites, and it's most likely going to be a whole lot cheaper. But there's some challenges in that. I really like using Airbnb. Majority of my experiences are really good. Every once in a while I have a crappy experience, but Airbnb has always taken care of me when that's happened. So let's see here. I'm getting attacked by bugs because I'm out in Florida and there's bugs everywhere. So we have the accommodations we've talked about. We've talked about income, different ways that you can make money online. There really, if you start looking into it, there are lots of ways. I think a lot of people might get discouraged by the fact that a lot of the ones maybe I've suggested aren't extremely high pay, but they're decent pay. And when you are not having a huge mortgage payment and you're not having a huge car payment and the insurance that goes along with it, and really all the cost of being stateside, whether that's medical insurance, all those things, you just don't need that much. You don't need to work to death. You just work a few hours a day on your remote job and you have enough income to support your family. At least I do. And I know of a lot of people I've met along the way on my journey. I've met other single moms. I've met families that all live on, none of them have been rich. They've all had a pretty moderate, in the States, we'd call that, small as heck income. So that's the truth. The other benefit of Airbnb is the fact that a lot of them have kitchens. You're booking a whole house, so you can get your groceries and save money by not eating out. Now, in places like Mexico, where it's super cheap to eat out, we ate out all the time because I could take my whole family out to dinner for like $8 to a nice fancy dinner. Even cheaper if I didn't want to go fancy. So that's not, I don't really like to cook. I like to eat out. So if I'm in a country that's more affordable, South America, a lot of places, Mexico, places in Central America, places in Asia and Europe, there's a lot of places that are so much cheaper than the States. I can eat out because I can afford to do so. But if I need to save money, I can cook at home, get some groceries, cook at home. I think it's key to eliminate your stateside bills, and that's my struggle, is needing to eliminate all stateside bills. I actually came back this trip to get rid of my vehicle. However, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. And figure out some other things so that, if you're thinking about the full-time travel lifestyle, that's something to start looking into now. Eliminate all your stateside bills. Don't take on any more debt. Get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Don't do it. Don't get the new car. Don't do any of that. Just start eliminating stuff now. Because if you want to feel free, you want to really experience this digital nomad lifestyle, you need to let go of all your stateside attachments, bills, all that stuff. So majority of my work is online, like I've already stated, and I have a 2-year-old. I also have a 13-year-old and an almost 12-year-old, but my main struggle comes with my 2-year-old. I know there's a lot of single moms that are like, oh, I want to work home online as well, but what do I do with my 2-year-old? Because anybody who has a toddler knows how demanding they are for attention and how much, as adorable they are, how much work is involved in caring for an infant or a toddler or a small child. So I, in Mexico, ended up hiring a nanny, and I'm gonna get attacked by bugs. I hired a nanny, and she was only 80 pesos an hour, which comes out to about $4 US. Now, when I looked at daycare in the States for my daughter when she was like 4 or 5 months old, right after my separation, I was going to get a regular 9-to-5, go back for working for the military or something like that. It was going to be like $1,200 a month. I saw maybe some for like $900 a month. There is no way in heck I can afford that much in daycare or anything. It's just not. I can't even fathom why daycare costs that much. So when you are traveling abroad, there are ways to find a nanny on the local economy. There's also daycares. I haven't felt completely comfortable with that. I didn't even feel comfortable with getting a nanny, but I did it, and it was a great experience. So there is just there are a lot cheaper options. I don't know how to say this. Like, the United States is awesome. I'm appreciative that I'm from here and that I'm able to travel so freely because I'm from the U.S. I have a U.S. passport, because I know other countries are not able to travel as freely as us Americans are. But damn, y'all, it's expensive here. Like, I've only been back since May 12th, and I'm like in shock with I forgot how expensive it is. Gas for my car, I cannot wait to get rid of that car. One more week, I'm just done with it. So, yeah. Once you get out of here, you're going to start realizing how much more affordable it is. And I'm not talking Canada, because Canada, I was in Canada for 2 months. Y'all, it's just as expensive, if not more, over there. And cold. I almost died. I was freezing. And I'm black, and I was pale. Pale as hell from Canada. Don't go to Canada in the winter. I mean, it's awesome. I love the country. I love you Canadians. Don't get mad at me. But it's freaking cold, okay? And expensive. And your fruit has no flavor. If you want good fruit, go to Mexico. It tastes delicious. It's amazing there. So, what other ways do I make traveling full-time affordable? You know, in all honesty, I don't feel like I cannot travel full-time. Like, I feel like I've stated it. It's cheaper than living in Austin, and I really have no desire as of now. I toured not the whole U.S., but a large part of it, and I haven't found a city I love as much as Austin, but I can't afford to live in Austin, so I'm just going to keep traveling. I'm just going to keep being nomadic. We tried to settle down in Mexico. We tried to get a house, like a year lease, and then we had like a freak out moment a month in, after we signed our year lease contract and we started filling up the house with furniture. We had like a freak out moment. My daughters and I were like, what are we doing? This couch costs as much as 4 plane tickets. We could be traveling with this money. We could be going on adventures, exploring the world. So we ended our lease and we went back to being nomadic. We had a temporary break from the nomadic lifestyle. After going back and forth for the past year about buying another house and maybe Airbnb-ing out when we were gone and all that kind of stuff, I'm glad we made the decision in Mexico to sign that year lease, because we realized very quickly that we don't need a home base like we thought we did. We actually enjoy, most of the time, not having anything holding us back, not having a home, not having any of those material items to hold us back from what we desire, which is to see the world. So, I'm rambling a bit. I'm going to have to do some editing with this video, aren't I? So, another thing, I'm always looking for deals. I approach Airbnb owners for discounts. I approach businesses for discounts. I try and bargain however I can. We've even done couch surfing. We stayed with this nice family in Cleveland. I know that's crazy. Couch surfing in itself is scary for a lot of people, and I did it as a single mom with 3 girls. But we had such an amazing experience that we actually extended our stay 2 days instead of the 1 day we were supposed to stay with them. And I really recommend it. There's also Workaway. Some people, you would go and in exchange for teaching English to the owner's children, or cooking or cleaning or working on a farm, whatever the case is, you can get some free accommodations with that. I have not personally done that because I don't know. First of all, I like writing. I like to get my work done with writing, even if it doesn't pay a whole bunch right now. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy following my passions because I can. And I don't really care what anyone thinks. Yeah, I could probably make a ton more money doing other things, but I enjoy writing. I enjoy blogging. And that's where my focus is. I believe we should do what we love so it doesn't feel like work. And I feel like working on a home workaway might be fun. It might be a great experience, but it also might not. I'm not sure. I know we'll give it a try eventually. We just have not yet. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Covered income I've covered what we do as far as accommodations, our housing every month. This is my last week and a half having a vehicle back in the States because it just sits here for 3.5 months at a time before we come back for 2 weeks when I use it, and there is no point in paying for something. First, you shouldn't have a car payment, period. I just believe that if you want to buy cash for something, great. Otherwise, don't get bogged down with these car payments and all this stuff. I'll get started on this huge rant of you have that big mortgage, you work that job and all those hours to live in a house that you don't get to see or enjoy because you're always working, and when you do get home, you're tired and burnt out and you just want to sit down and watch TV. Whatever makes you happy. When you don't have a house, you have nowhere to put stuff. Therefore, you cannot go to Target and buy $600 worth of stuff, and don't tell me you don't do that. In fact, I still do it. I still go to Target, fill up my cart, and then I have my moment of like, what am I doing? And I run out the store, leave the cart full. It's terrible. I am not proud of this, but I do it. When you are a full-time traveler, you have nowhere to put stuff, so you can't go and just blow your money on a bunch of stuff. It has to, for us, we're switching to carry-on only. We had a suitcase, but now we're switching to just backpacks. If it doesn't fit in our backpack, it's not coming. We can't have it. We live out of our backpacks. So that's a great way to save money. You don't have a house to buy a bunch of crap for, well, then you automatically save money there. We're in a different country half the time. So the fun is in just exploring that. And we don't live like tourists. We live like locals. We live in a house typically on the local economy. We hang out with locals and we hang out with other world travelers whenever we meet them, which is all the time. And we just I try and look for free, fun stuff. Even in your own city, you probably have free, fun stuff. I know in Austin, there's a ton of stuff that's free for you to do, and we don't really feel pressured to have to do the most touristy stuff. I'm saying that as we are in Orlando, Florida, doing the exact opposite of what I'm saying right now. We are doing Universal Studios this week. We're in a resort, but even that was done on a huge budget. I got military discount tickets, and I'm staying in a resort, which is really like these space age timeshares. If you look up Armed Forces Lodging, and I paid for the entire week $320. So how we travel is typically not very expensive. I think I've stayed in one fancy resort this entire time, and that was in Mexico for a week, and I was bored out of my mind after day 2. I like to live with the locals. I like to learn, I don't know, be a normal person. It's just more fun that way. We're not on vacation. This is our life. This is a lifestyle. So it's not like we're kicking back. I mean, we do a lot of relaxing. I'm not going to lie. We're not like always on the move. That's not the case. We relax. It's our normal life. We sit down and watch some TV. We play games. We get bored every once in a while too. It's normal life. I have to do dishes sometimes. I have to wash clothes sometimes, but none of those feel like a chore really anymore. And when I owned a home, oh man, I hated the thought of washing clothes and folding them. And it would take like 3 days. I would wash all this clothes and I have to fold it, and then we put it away. And I don't think my kids have done chores in a year because I don't know, just something changed when we started full-time traveling. I don't know if it's because we stay in smaller houses, we just have less stuff, there's just less to clean up, but it's pretty freeing and it's pretty affordable. So for all you people, I've seen so many comments that say, oh, if only I had like all that money, you know, I could do this. Well, you don't really need much money. If anything, it's quite the opposite. I feel like you need more money to stay and live in the States in a lot of places than you do to travel in cheaper countries full time. We're heading over to Asia. We're flying into Japan, which I heard is pretty expensive, although I'm finding some pretty darn good deals. That's another thing. That's like cut, like with the music. Plane tickets. Oh, everyone's like, you know, thinks plane tickets are so expensive. I do not pay a lot for plane tickets, and I don't buy plane tickets often because we slow travel. We typically stay in a place for 1 to 2 to 3 months or more. So I would say no more than that, because I get bored at the 2-month mark. I'm ready to go somewhere else. My nomadic soul keeps like, oh, time to go. I keep trying to stay in a place longer, and I'll say I'm going to be in here for 6 months, and 2 months later I'm already at another place. Plane tickets, I don't pay that much. My 2-year-old flies for free, so that leaves 3 tickets all the time, and we're paying like $200-300. I fly on budget airlines. I think the most I paid was to Puerto Rico. It was last minute. It was $800 for round trip tickets. That was a lot for me because I pay very little. We're going to Japan, but the way we're getting there is by taking a taking a plane from Austin to Seattle. It cost me $264 for all 4 of us. And then we're catching something called a military space age flight, which I think is like $15 a person. It's like tax that you're paying. Yeah, that's it. I don't even know if I'm guaranteed to get on the flight, but we're going to friggin' try, and I bet you we're going to get on it, and I bet you we're going to be in Japan, and instead of paying $3,000, that's what I'm going to pay. And I don't want you guys to think, oh, well, I'm not prior military, or I'm not retiree, I'm not this, I can't get all that stuff. There are a ton of ways to get cheap flights. Not only do we have that flexibility of my girls are homeschooled, unschooled, so we're not going and traveling at expensive times of year. A lot of people can only travel during school breaks or during the summer when, guess what, tickets are a whole bunch more expensive. I travel all the time, but I have the flexibility of choosing days that are not expensive. For instance, the Seattle tickets we just got, they're $264 on June 1st, yet another day they're like $500. I think of the day after. So we have flexibility. And that's another thing a lot of people ask me is, what do you do as far as your girls' school? Well, I had pulled them out of school prior to becoming a full-time traveler. We had decided on homeschooling. And we tried homeschooling, and it didn't work for us. What I mean by that is we tried different curriculums, different programs. Nothing was working for us. What we did seem to gravitate to was unschooling. And that's just basically letting, for us, my definition of it is letting my children follow their passions and supporting them in those different passions. I had one daughter that was really into coding at one point, one that was really into learning Japanese, and I just encourage them to pursue their passions, and I help support them any way I can. But it's not an expensive, so far it hasn't been costly at all. If anything, quite the opposite. So I know of other single moms that put their kids in an international school so they can learn the language, and there's all types of stuff out there. It's pretty fascinating. But if you're a single mom, or anyone really, I mean, I typically gear my videos, I gear my blog towards single moms. It's a whole different ball game. But anyone can be a full-time traveler. You don't need much income. You just need something coming in to make this lifestyle possible. It is beyond possible. You know, I was medically retired from the military when I was 23 years old. Yet I'm 31 now, and I'm just now doing this because I had no idea. I had no idea how affordable it could be. I had no idea. I just didn't know anything about this crap. About all these crazy people that sell all their stuff to travel the world full time. Or they have a home base and they take like multiple trips throughout the year. It's amazing. I thought of travel as just something for the rich, something that you saved up the entire year for if you weren't rich, so you can go on that one or 2 vacations that you just spent your whole savings on. Well, I've just decided to turn it into a lifestyle and do it on a budget. And it can be tight at times, but the experiences are so valuable. And I encourage everyone to do this. I really do. So if you have other questions for me regarding income, regarding accommodations, other tips and tricks on how I can make this, how I can explain how affordable this is, how I make this happen, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot. And we look forward to sharing more travel tips, travel everything, parenting, all that kind of stuff for single mom.